If you're wondering why Joe Biden's approval rating is in the gutter, look no further. The other night in a speech, he defended the mass terminations of people unwilling to be vaccinated. The reason why this affects everybody is because we are in a labor shortage, economic crisis, stagflation, inflation. Everything is going wrong. Deliveries aren't happening. The Postal Service is in disarray. Nurses. There is a shortage of nurses, and EMS 911 is in dire straits because they can't find people. Now is not the time to be celebrating job losses when a job report comes out showing it is abysmally low, way below expectations. And we get a president who says, when you look at all these people getting fired from their jobs, the vax mandates work. And we're like, dude, at what point do the American people say, I care more about being able to eat than whether or not I might get sick? That's the interesting question. For when there is abundance and people know there's food on the table, they might say, yes, the COVID pandemic is my biggest fear. But when there is gas prices surging, there's a shortage of nurses and EMS, and you can't get your favorite macaroni anymore, let alone rice. There's a rice shortage, apparently. People start to say, I can't think about any of that stuff because I'm trying to figure out why I went shopping and it was $700 to fill my cart. Now we're hearing I saw one report. A Dutch aluminum maker is ceasing production of aluminum because the cost of energy is too high and they're not going to get a return on the aluminum they produce. Yo, there is a steel shortage. This is crumbling faster and faster. And then with the jobs report, they expected 500,000, 194, abysmal. And Joe Biden is on TV going, it's good that we're mass firing people at a time when we are in dire straits. So what do you get? Maybe in 2022, we'll see a red wave. Maybe come 2024, a return of Donald Trump. I honestly have no idea, but boy, I would not be surprised if Biden gets removed. Someone invokes the 25th. I guess it would have to be Kamala Harris. I wouldn't be surprised, but the dude should have been impeached a long time ago. We got 60,000 illegal immigrants heading to the border, declaring they are ready for war to try and come into the U.S. The economy is in shambles. Afghanistan was a disaster. And the president is celebrating job losses. That's the craziest thing to me. The president goes on TV and says, it's a good thing we're losing jobs at a time when we're desperate to fill jobs. Well, how about we dive in and take a look at just how apocalyptic this actually is? Because I talked about the jobs report earlier, but now you add in the fact that Joe Biden is defending these mass terminations, and we have mainstream leftist media saying fire more people. You know what? It seems to me that they want the economy to crumble. Perhaps it's the climate change people, perhaps it's tribalist insanity where they're just like, make them suffer. Maybe it's a great reset of sorts, but either way, it is happening. No matter what your theory is or why you think it's happening, it is happening. Food prices through the roof. And you know what? All that complying you did, how much did that help? I'm sorry, it did the opposite. It brought you to where you are today. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com, become a member, and you'll get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, as well as our other new shows that are coming soon. First of all, we have a new show, Tales from the Inverted World, I'm super excited about. The second episode will be up Sunday morning, and then we will start the members-only conversations with our host, Jane Cashman, investigating the creepy, the paranormal, simulations, DMT, and all that really fun stuff, because building culture is extremely important. We hear it all the time from people on the right that the left has all the cultural institutions. What does the right have? Well, we decided we're going to add to that culture, and our values respecting freedom and individual liberty, personal responsibility will come out through the content we produce. That's what you're supporting when you become a member at timcast.com. But don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, share this show with your friends, because if everybody watching right now shared this video, we would be bigger than CNN overnight. Now let's read this news about our terrible president. The Daily Mail reports, quote, when you see mass firings, look at the bigger story. Biden appears to defend the unvaccinated losing their jobs and says Americans who haven't gotten the shot are damaging the economy. It's their fault. Actually, it's the mass terminations that are at fault. But the funny thing is the Daily Mail says appears to defend. He literally defended it. He outright said the bigger picture. Hey, I'm reminded of that statement from Spock in Star Trek. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And it's true. But it doesn't mean it's morally right that we would sacrifice individuals for just some idea of the majority. It's not that simple. And this is very clearly a callous president who doesn't care that thousands upon thousands of people are losing their jobs at a time of economic crisis. And he doesn't understand what this means. We're in a nursing shortage, my friends. We've been in a nursing shortage for some time. They are now terminating nurses by the thousands. So what happens to those who are sick and in need of help? They're going to blame the unvaccinated for it, but the reality is it is the system they are putting in place. Now, I certainly understand COVID is serious, but at a certain point, what do you do? Do you say destroy the economy so we don't get sick? Or do you say we need nurses to heal people, but they might get sick, right? It's a cost-benefit analysis. I think if you've got a serious injury or need of surgery, we're better off with the risk of getting sick because you have a risk of getting sick in hospitals. It's going up. That's unfortunate. But the alternative is no treatment at all. The Daily Mail reports. Joe Biden said Thursday the bigger story isn't that thousands of people are losing their jobs, but that the new mandates are increasing the percentage of Americans in the workforce who are vaccinated against COVID. It's also increasing stress. And there are people posting videos and photos, furious, angry, rioting, protesting. Many people who did get vaccinated because they were forced to do it or lose their jobs. These requirements work, Biden lauded during a speech at a Clayco construction site in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. The new executive order mandates that all businesses with at least 100 employees require those working to provide proof of vaccination or be subject to compulsory weekly testing. And I will tell you this, my friends, if every single person who opposed it said no, these businesses would fold in 2 seconds. They would say, please, please don't leave. Do you know how many job openings there are? They are desperate to hire. Leave if you don't believe in what they are doing. Stand up for your principles, and they will beg. Maybe the hardest thing you've ever done. It may be a substantial risk. It's going to be up to you. They say, while these new rules have not been implemented by OSHA yet, Biden said that the Labor Department is going through the appropriate steps to put the order in place. The new rule, Biden said on Thursday, would cover 100 million Americans, about 2/3 of all people working in America. Let's be clear. When you see the headlines and reports of mass firings and hundreds of people losing their jobs, look at the bigger story, the president added, claiming the bigger story is that more employees in the workforce are vaccinated. How do you create an angry and dejected population, subject them to your whims by threat of force and coercion? I got to tell you that there are a lot of people, I think most people are pro-vax. They're like, vaccines are fine, but they're not pro being threatened and coerced by the government. I think Joe Biden is in trouble, but maybe he's just a patsy. Maybe the whole thing about Biden is that they know he's not going to run for a second term and they're going to get him out of there. Quote, I've spoken with Scott Kirby, CEO of United Airlines, who's here today, Biden said as an example. United went from 59% of their employees to 99% of their employees being vaccinated in less than 2 months after implementing the requirement. He also said that private business leaders felt emboldened by federal level requirements for military and government workers to now also demand that their employees are also vaccinated to be able to remain in the American workforce. Quote, as the Business Roundtable and others told me when I announced the first requirement, that encourages businesses to feel they could come in and demand the same thing of their employees. Most people are getting vaccinated. More lives are being saved. Today, I'm calling on employers to act. I know the vaccination requirements are a tough medicine, unpopular with some, politics for others, but they're life-saving. They're game-saving for our country. How many suicides have we seen of young people? How many people are losing their jobs over this? Unpopular. You are a psychotic, moronic despot. That's what you are. Because this is America. Individual responsibility, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, personal responsibility. Well, here we are, my friends. The ramifications of what Joe Biden is talking about. Northwell Health fires 1,400 workers due to vaccine mandate. Remaining 76,000 got shots. He didn't care about those 1,400 people, each and every one of those individuals, because Joe Biden views you as a number. He says, sure, thousands of people's lives are being destroyed. Many of these people have medical issues or religious issues. He doesn't care. New York doesn't care. They don't care what you believe or what you hold true or what your doctor tells you. The mandates, they are absolute. Now, some places do have medical and religious exemptions, and then they subject you to special treatment, meaning they put heavier requirements on you to put a weight on you. That is coercion. That's what they're doing. Here we go. Fired Piedmont ER doctor explains why he refused the vax mandate. This one from freep.com. 400 Henry Ford Health employees quit over COVID-19 vaccine mandate, 92% fully vaccinated. So 8% of the workforce, these are medical employees. That's why I'm highlighting this. We're in a pandemic and the president is saying, look at the bigger picture. We may be losing EMS nurses and doctors right now, but it don't matter. We're already at a shortage. That's what they're not telling you when they say it's fine that we've lost 1,400. We still have 76,000. Yeah. What about the shortage? They don't care. They don't care about you and your life. They want you to be a cog in their machine. Put your mind and your soul aside and do as you're told, saith Fauci. Take a look at this. TV anchor meteorologists among those to quit over vaccine mandate. This anchor actually went on TV and said, I will not be here. I don't know what the future holds. And then posted, I tried everything possible to keep my job, including offering to be tested on a weekly basis. My requests were denied because it is about compliance. She said, I may have lost my job, but I preserved my dignity. Madam, this is Megan Gray. You have my respect and my applause, and it may be for nothing because it won't feed your family. But I hope you understand there are many more people around this country who are cheering you on. And I hope you find your way through this. And I am glad you've preserved your integrity. Because there are people who will tell you, yeah, well, integrity and an empty hand won't feed your kid. But compliance is why your kid doesn't have food in the first place. If people stood up for themselves from the beginning, we would not be here. Check this one out. From Market Watch. All that tough talk over quitting jobs over a COVID vaccine mandate is really just idle threats. So saith Jack Berry. And Anne Cristiano, Annie Neiman, writing for Market Watch. Took 3 people to write an opinion. Very, very, very impressive. Okay. Senators urged to address nursing shortage in Nebraska. Idle threats? People are leaving their jobs, and there is a nursing shortage in Nebraska. What's this? Industry expert says Hochul plan to fill nursing shortage not feasible for long term. Uh-oh. How about this one from KSBY, California? Central Coast nurses hold press conference addressing nursing shortage concerns. You mean nurses are quitting and being fired? It wasn't idle threats? And there's a nursing shortage? Here we go. From Honolulu Civil Beat. Pandemic hardships have made Hawaii's nursing shortage even worse. Oh, there was already a nursing shortage. Jeez. Yeah, okay, here we got. I love how these local outlets do this stupid stuff. Let's make sure we mute them. Regional Medical Center offers RN compensation program amid nurse shortage. RNs hired in the temporary program will receive $70 per hour for up to 13 weeks. Bravo. Here we go. Concordia University in St. Paul launches new program to help fill nursing shortage. College students will be coming in and filling the role of professionals who are no longer there. Here's another one. Nursing programs struggle to keep up amid a nationwide shortage of nurses. Your president is defending this, saying it's a good thing. Priorities have to come in at a certain point. And I'll tell you where they're coming in now, at least in my opinion. From NBC News. EMS services warn of crippling labor shortage undermining 911 system. We are not bleeding any longer. We're hemorrhaging. One ambulance service operator said of a decade-long worker shortage exacerbated by the pandemic. Exacerbated by a callous Joe Biden. From KTVB7, labor shortage continues, puzzling economists and straining workers. I wonder if there was something contributing to this shortage. Could it be a president celebrating the loss of jobs at a time when he's actively working against the expansion of our economy or the restoration of it? I don't know what else to tell you, my friends. White House. No actions planned to address gas price surge. Deputy Press Secretary said Biden administration actively monitoring the global fuel shortage. Oh, absolutely incredible. You want to know why Joe Biden's approval rating is falling into like the 30s, the mid 30s? After everything I've just showed you, I want you to tell your friends and family about this one most importantly. Biden admits he pulled strings to get his friend's wife into Pennsylvania ER ahead of other sick people because it was overwhelmed with COVID patients. Who's the president right now? It's Joe Biden. Who's been in charge of this whole thing? It's Joe Biden, who is sacrificing everything while propping himself up as he's always done. It is Joe Biden. I mean, sacrificing the country, not anything of his. No, he's doing everything to preserve his. The Daily Mail says, Biden said his friend's significant other had fallen ill with difficulty breathing and a high fever. Biden said his friend called him after he rushed her to the hospital, where the emergency room told her she couldn't be seen because things were so crowded. I called the desk, received the nurse, and asked what the situation was. The president said in remarks on coronavirus vaccine requirements. I wasn't complaining, Biden said. Doctors and nurses, some of them they're running dry. I really mean it. They're getting the living heck kicked out of them, sometimes physically. Biden did not reveal whether his call had helped get his friend's significant other to be seen by the doctor, but other details or any other details about the story. He then got back to touting his vaccine mandates. This we understand. My message is require your employees to get vaccinated, he said. Today, I'm calling on employers to act. So we know that part of the story. Joe Biden will call in on behalf of a friend. And we know what that phone call did. The president calls you. They're going to bring in whoever he asks. Why were they not able to see the individual? Could be because of the nursing shortage. It could be because of exactly what Joe Biden has mandated. So here's what happens. Joe Biden comes out and says, you gotta get your employees vaccinated or else. So the hospitals say, Joe Biden's mandating it, so we're going to do it. A bunch of nurses then get fired or quit. And then the hospitals go, oh no, now we can't treat people. So Joe Biden calls up and says, I know the poors are suffering, and I know it's my fault, but I got a friend in need. And a friend in need's a friend indeed. So please, take him in and I'll be your friend too. And the hospital will do it. While you wait, while you watch as this person gets brought in and you wonder why it is that I, a regular working class person, are being denied this life-saving treatment. Where are the nurses, you might ask? To those that live in these blue districts that voted for this man, how many of them are going to ask themselves the real questions? How many of them are going to sit there and actually tell themselves, you know what? I voted for this guy. I doubt very many. Maybe enough. I mean, more and more independent voters are saying no. And independent voters do lean left, and many independent voters lean towards Democrat. So maybe people will finally wake up and say, you know what? I regret my decision to support this man. For all the problems that were the Donald Trump, presidency, there was still good in it. And at the very least, we weren't suffering to this degree with someone like Biden selling us out and then exploiting his position for personal gain. But of course, we all knew this. We knew the stories about Joe Biden. We knew the stories about Hunter Biden, Burisma. We knew exactly who he was. We knew all about his brother's contracts in Iraq. And here we are. From NBC. Fired for refusing a COVID vaccine? You likely can't get unemployment benefits. Yeah, you heard that one too, because the suffering is the point. Not only are they saying they're going to remove you from your job unless you comply, but you're not going to get any of the benefits that you paid into with your taxes. This is corruption beyond beyond anything I've seen. And there's some very serious and acute corruption we see, but this is at a mass scale. At a mass scale. So what's left for people? Well, those that are losing their jobs. Americans fired for ignoring vaccine mandates are posting on GoFundMe to ask for money. And many say they don't regret it. Good. I hope they succeed. This is from Business Insider. Many Americans who say they were fired for ignoring their employer's vaccine mandates are turning to GoFundMe for help, but don't regret it. Though the rules have yet to be finalized or implemented, many employers imposed mandates sooner. In some places like Maine and California, state-level mandates have been active for weeks. As a result, thousands of people have lost their jobs, from healthcare workers to airline staff. Those who feel the step was needed to boost vaccination rates welcomed the mandate, while others labeled it an authoritarian imposition. It is. But ignoring vaccine mandates has left many without an income. Insider identified more than 24 GoFundMe pages set up by people asking for financial aid to pay their bills or to launch legal challenges against their former employers. One of those asking for help is Stephanie Grandy, who worked as a registered nurse at Northern Light AR Gold Hospital in Maine until her contract was terminated on August 31st. Insider has verified Grandy's employment history, and the hospital did not respond to their request for comment. Grandy, a practicing Messianic Jew, told Insider she declined the vaccine on religious and ethical grounds. The Lord specifically told me not to take the shot, she said. Then we learned they used the aborted fetal cell lines in the research and development of the drugs. We believe abortion is murder. It would be a sin to take these drugs into our bodies. They do mention that fetal cell lines are grown using DNA from aborted fetuses, and they were used in the development of many of these vaccines and in the production of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Many pro-life groups have shunned the vaccine as a result. We also had that Project Veritas breaking news about Pfizer saying we don't want anybody to find out about this one. Basically, you must get the shot, no exemptions, Grandy said of the new policy. But she said she doesn't regret the decision and said many of her colleagues only got the vaccine to keep their jobs. This is how they treat you. They treat you like you don't matter, like your ideas are meaningless. I do not believe that of humanity. I have faith in humanity, even for all those people who are left in the darkness, who cannot see what's happening before their eyes, who blindly vote for these lunatics. They're victims of despots. Perhaps they don't have the cognitive abilities. Perhaps they are just kept in the dark and they haven't yet been shown the light. But many people have voted themselves into this. And now they're angry and they're frustrated. They're being forced into a corner. And I know people who supported Biden, who laughed in my face, who are now telling me I'm scared. I don't want to have to get this. My doctor doesn't even think I should, but they're forcing me to do it. What do I do? And I said, don't vote for these people. And the next time I tell you what's going on, you listen. But people are entitled to their own opinions. Because I don't think that I am the smartest person in the world or I'm always right. I think I can only give you, I can only tell you what I would do. Because I am not a political leader. Nor am I going to lead you from darkness. Technically, I suppose a lot of people watch the show maybe have been given good advice or at least heard things that help them. I can tell you this. Throughout my life, I have more often than not made good decisions. I've made a whole lot of bad ones, just like most people. But I suppose if out of 100 decisions, I do 51 right ones and 49 wrong ones, which to the average person may look like I'm wrong a lot, but I'm right enough to do really, really well. I mean, to be fair, I think I probably make better decisions than, I more often make decisions, better than that. But it's not even about right decisions. It's about just reading the news and paying attention. When you pay attention, you can see what's happening in the world. And when you can prepare for it. Imagine you're standing amidst a crowd and a giant fireball in the sky is headed your direction. And you're looking at your phone texting. You wouldn't know the fireball was coming until it was too late. I simply looked up and said, hey, I see a fireball. I'm going to move. And then I told a bunch of people, hey, everybody look up. And they all did. A bunch of other people said, I'm not looking up and falling for your stupid trick. You're a liar. And then we all walked out, not because we are psychic, not because we were smart, but because we were paying attention. And many people weren't. Which brings me to the grand finale from Salon.com. It's time to start firing unvaccinated people. Trump fans are overdue for a lesson in consequences. You can feel the vile, malicious, slimy anger in these people's hearts. As they talk, it just drips from their mouths. Yeah. They're disgusting. Why do I care if someone who doesn't live near me doesn't want to get the vaccine? Why should I care? I won't interact with them if I don't want to. I really don't care. Why should they call on rural communities with substantially less contact with other people? They still have contact with people. I'm not saying they don't. Why should they call them to live the same way as the cities? Look at the image they use. This guy with the beard who's like, yeah, and freaking out with a syringe in front of him and a pink slip. That's what they think of you. It really is remarkable when I see stories like this and what they think of people like you or I. Why, do you or I look like this strange man who probably is Scottish with that red beard? No, we look like regular people. We look like nurses and doctors and teachers and barber shops and gas station attendants, basketball players. This is the image they use because they want you to hate, hate, hate. I don't hate people for what they look like or, I hate them for their, actually, I don't really hate people. I hate ideas. I hate bad ideas. I will say this, though. I do hate evil people. I really do. And boy, is this world filled with darkness. Those who would absolutely do everything in their power to make sure you stay in the dark. And it works. They pull clips from my show, from Crowder, from Brett Weinstein, from Joe Rogan, from Styx. They take them out of context on purpose to smear you, to smear us. And then what happens is regular people who are in the dark are given this funhouse mirror version of what this show really is or what Timcast IRL really is. And then they say, I'm not going to listen to those guys because I was told they're nuts. And they don't realize we here bring you to the best of our abilities real information. You don't have to agree with our political opinions. But I actually had an Antifa guy argue with me that there were no vaccine mandates. That's right. This Occupy Wall Street guy, who was a big Antifa proponent, said, there's no mandates. What are you talking about? No one's being told they have to get the vaccine. And then I posted an article, New York State mandates vaccine. And they're like, oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't see that story. I'm like, you didn't see the story where you can't go to restaurants? Do you even live in New York? But I guess when you're a recluse, sitting online all day reading leftist propaganda, you never go out and realize that you're barred from going to these places. And now this is what they want. Salon writes, for those readers who only peruse headlines, which, as anyone who has access to the news website analytics can tell you, is a shockingly huge percentage of readers, the impending first round of vaccine mandate deadlines are looking very scary business indeed. Not for people who are afraid of needles, mind you, but those who are afraid that mass resignations and firings and subsequent staffing shortages of essential workers are coming. That's right. They know it. They know we're in dire straits. They know the economy's in trouble and they want more of it. Isn't that incredible? I want you to survive, succeed, and I want you to be responsible. You see, I imagine a future much like this. Do I like those wasteful individuals pumping fossil fuels and polluting the climate? No, I'm not a fan of that at all. Do I like people who litter? Absolutely not. And I will tell you this, most conservatives are not a fan of ecological destruction at any rate. But let's talk about fossil fuels and all that stuff. Well, I understand there's issues over climate change and all that stuff. YouTube says they're going to demonetize climate change denial. I actually think climate change is a big problem. I think humans have become a disproportionate force on the environment and are creating an imbalance. And we've seen these stories about dead zones and fishery collapses and all that stuff, droughts. I don't know. I can't tell you who's right or who's wrong. I can just certainly see that I've seen some things that lead me to believe that may be the case. So I have an idea. I have a great idea. What if there were a way? What if there was a way to embolden, strengthen the economy, have people be more successful, and that would lead to a better future of personal responsibility, fresher air, cleaner lungs, better living? We can do all of that. We can do all of that through honesty and integrity and willpower. It's as simple as this. Cities suck. They're heavily pollutant. They have to ship things in. They're extremely energy. They consume so much energy to distribute the food and resources into the cities. And I'll tell you this: I got some electric motorcycles. Because we're excited. It's better energy conversion. It's not perfect. You know what I mean? Like there still are arguments about how much energy is needed fossil fuels to produce electric vehicles, but I have solar recharging. We actually have our own solar batteries. I'm not super worried about that right now. We do use fossil fuels for energy, but we can get more renewables. I'd love to see nuclear energy. You see, when you're honest with people, you can say something like this. You got to do what's right for you. All of these problems we see, we don't need to argue about. We have a solution. Find some cheap land outside of the cities. Now that we are getting better and better internet, notably Starlink, and people can work remote, there's great opportunity to find a path for you and your family to survive, to generate resources, and take some of the burden onto your own shoulders. I think it's a good thing. As Jordan Peterson says, find the heaviest thing you can carry and carry it. This may be one of the hardest things you've ever done, but it needs to be done. I have a lot of friends who live in cities who are, right-leaning or moderate, libertarian. And I'm telling them, when are you going to buy an acre out in New Hampshire or Florida or Texas? It's not that expensive. It's not easy, or even rent. Go to these states. You want to assume more responsibility. You want to grow some of your own food. Start gardening. You want to raise some livestock if you can. Not everybody can. I know that. But living in cities is expensive. In order to live in New York, they say you need to be making like $150,000 a year to be middle class. Whereas the rest of the country, it's $77,000. Why waste that money? What we need to do, and we can solve all these problems, reduce population density in big cities, get back to nature, have people learn how to take care of themselves. They'll be fitter. They'll be stronger. You'll get in shape. You'll lose weight. You'll eat fresher food. You'll live longer. You'll see your kids longer. You'll see your kids instead of sending them off to these institutionalized public daycare centers. I will tell you this, all the problems we are seeing with these cities, they can be solved by you moving out to the country. You're not going to worry about getting sick because you're not around people as often. And then you see these people. These are the cannibalistic, the chuds, the cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers of New York City and the big cities. These are the people who have influence and power in these places. Why would you want to be near them? We've seen the riots. We've seen every indication that it is better to get away from these places, at the very least go to the suburbs, and prices are skyrocketing. And now it's becoming harder and harder to do. But I believe this solves most of the problems that I see. If you're just honest with someone, hey, look, you might not care about climate change. You might think, no, Tim, I disagree with you. And I'll say this. Okay, well, you do agree with personal responsibility, right? You probably say, yeah, actually, yeah. Wouldn't you like having your own space, bigger spaces, fresher air? Do you like your neighbors playing loud music? You probably don't. Don't you want to roll up your sleeves and do some good old hard work and teach these socialists what it means to actually be successful and happy? Yeah, whether you agree with climate change or not, the opportunity lies in raising your own animals. And not even that. You live out where I live. There are farms everywhere. The farms can raise all the animals for me. I can do other stuff, but I've got space and it's fun and it's cheaper living. They're going to tell you that they should take your job away. And if they do, I hope you've been prepared for this because I've been warning you. Compliance will not get you out of this. People say, Tim, I can't just move. Oh, it's only sooner or later. Well, you lose your job and then you have no money and then you'll be homeless in the city. So I guess start preparing now. I know it may be easier for people who have more money. That's always the case. It's not easy for everybody. It may be the hardest thing you've ever done. But sitting back and watching this happen as Joe Biden cheers it on, if you don't see the signs now and you don't believe me and you don't want to take my advice, you don't have to. But I'll tell you this, every step of the way, we said it's going to get bad. What do you think you're going to be in 3 months if you don't do something now? In 3 months, it's going to be worse than ever. Eventually, you'll be homeless. It's not a good thing. And I said it's not easy. I know that. But you're hearing it now. So what are you going to do to make sure that you can find a way to keep yourself, your friends, and your family safe? I'll leave it there because the president ain't going to be there for you. Next segment is coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all then.